أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. My dear viewers, once again Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon all of you. Welcome back to our series on our God, Allah Almighty, and then we are continuing on our episodes on this very series. In our previous episode, we talked about a very important questions, whether the universe was created or it just happened by chance. Therefore, that question will lead us whether Allah Almighty is eternal or the universe, which one of them is eternal. We already dealt with the question of the creation of the universe. That means it never happened by chance, but Allah Almighty created it. But we also come to another question which says that if Allah Almighty created the universe, was he being helped, or it was he alone single-handedly who has created the universe, which will, by the grace of Allah Almighty, we will be answering as well. So as always, our tradition demand we start our program with the recitation from the Holy Quran. So please let us hear the recitation from Sister Aisa Jajo. Give us the recitation, please. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لإيلاف قريش إيلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف فليعبدوا رب هذا البيت الذي أطعمهم من جوع وآمنهم من خوف. Translation. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful, because of the attachment of the Quraysh, He is making them attached to their journey in winter and summer. They should worship the Lord of this house, who has fed them against hunger and has given them security against fear. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much. Once again, we have another beautiful characteristics of Allah Almighty. As is mentioned, a very interesting time, the time of the Christ. We already talked about the tribe where the Holy Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam came from, and we already talked about the Arabs in particular. Allah Almighty is saying He was the very individual who helped these desert Arabs in the time of winter and summer. He is the one who provided them for food to eat when they were very hungry, min ju'in. And then it is He who is the Lord of the Kaaba, so they should worship Him. So He is Allah Almighty. This is why I say in every chapter of the Holy Quran, you cannot remove the evidence. You cannot say that there is no evidence that says that Allah Almighty exists. In every single chapter, those chapters demonstrate and manifest the true existence of the Almighty Allah. And as I said, we were talking about whether this universe happened by chance or was it created. And of course, the creator must be the eternal. And if it happened to be by chance, then automatically it is the one that was eternal, which we already proved Allah Almighty is the creator. For that being the case, He become the eternal. And also, it continues, it says, as Muslims, we believe that God is eternal. That's our belief. While all finite objects have been proved to have a beginning at one time or another, even scientific evidence has given us proof to this fact that it is Allah Almighty who is eternal, and then all the other objects have a beginning and they were created by the eternal being, which is Almighty Allah. As I mentioned, there were great scientists who were here once on this earth, and they prove and they believe that Allah Almighty exists and He is eternal. For instance, we talk about Sir Isaac Newton. Sir Isaac Newton was one of the greatest scientists. He was a mathematician as well. We talk about Galileo Galilei, who first discovered the telescope. We also talk about Albert Einstein, who was also a genius and a very great scientist for that matter. All these people unanimously comes into conclusion that Allah Almighty exists. And he give an example here. He said, for instance, the discovery of the existence of the black hole and the study of physics. Those who are in the junior school, they will tell you what physics is, going towards senior school. It says, regarding the age of particles, he said, clearly indicate that no form of matter is anything that what? Have weight, so others say have weight and occupies space. Anything that can able to occupy space, we regard it as matter. And also it says, no form of matter is eternal, meaning no form of matter you can say it just come like that. It has no beginning. Every single thing you see, it has a beginning. You say even the protons. The proton is a subparticles of the atom. Those who study science, they will tell you what protons mean. These are very tiny subparticles that are found in a very small particles as well, that is atom. You see, which were considered some decades ago to be everlasting and indestructible. That's what scientists will before tell you. You cannot destroy atom, right? Because it's so small and so tiny that it's indestructible. But eventually, the first person to discover atom, John Dalton, was not able to discover the protons in the atom itself. So in his own mind, in his thinking, in his understanding, atom is the smallest and is an indivisible particle which cannot be destroyed. So therefore, but eventually these protons, another subparticle were discovered, which is proton. And he said, even protons which were considered some decades ago to be everlasting and indestructible have been discovered to have a time scale for their existence. Scientists discovered that. This means that there has to be a time when they did not exist, meaning they have a period of time which, you understand, that they will exist. And this is being discovered by scientists. This is all trying to tell you that every single thing you see, even these matters, anything that can occupy space, it has a beginning. It has never been eternal. And it might even have an ending, meaning a time will come, it will cease to exist. And eternal means no beginning and no ending. That's why we say, Lam yalidi walam yulad. In another place, Huwa al-hayyul qayyum. He is the living and the everlasting. La ta'khudhuhu sinatu wala nawmun lahu. Slumber, neither sleep will happen to him. He not even slumber. He not even feel sleepy, much more to sleep. Lahu ma fi samawati wa ma fil ardi. And he is the creator or is the owner of the heavens and the earth. Say, Man zalladhi yasfa'u indahu illa bi'izni. Who will be interceding on your behalf if it is not with the permission of Allah Almighty? And He ya'lam ma bayna aydihim wa ma khalfahum. He know what is in between and He know what is behind. So you understand, this is Allah Almighty. He said, in the distant future, there will be a time when they will cease to exist in their present form. The right conclusion will be that then there is nothing that can make the universe eternal. Nothing you see on this universe that can tell you that, oh, the universe is the one that is eternal, but God has a beginning. You don't have any evidence. You say, I therefore reiterate that this phenomenon proves beyond any doubt that there is an outside eternal being who created the whole universe and controls it. It must be under control. And that is Allah Almighty, who is the eternal being. So therefore, we would like to invite a question that we'll want to answer as well, just like we did here, from Sister Tyra Fofana. Can you please read the question that is with you there?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
Did God create the universe by his own, or did he get help from anyone else?
Okay, so since we said that God Almighty is eternal, and he's the one who created the universe, right? I think this is the conclusion that we all came up with. And then we have evidence for that, which we already explained. So now one might ask, did he create the entire universe without any help on his own? Of course. The answer will be, let's understand one thing. Why do you need help? Because you are not capable of doing things on your own, right? Why do you need somebody to help you? Because you cannot do everything. But if I was able to do everything, why would I need your help? You understand? I say, why do we need help? Because we are not able to do everything. We are not self-sufficient. And the court says no man is an island, meaning nobody is able to do everything. So that's why I say God is self-subsisting, self-sufficient, and all-sustaining. These are his attributes, you know, that enable him to be able to create the universe without anybody's interference, without anybody's help. Because why? He is self-sufficient, self-sustaining, and self-subsisting. He can do everything that he wishes to. And everything else is mortal and is dependent on him all the time. We see it. Do we see anything on this earth that lives forever? Anything that breathes, it never lives forever. Even the trees, no matter how long they stay here, one day fall and get disappear, right? They decay. Others cut them and use them as firewood. Human being, others are going, others are coming. Understand? So everything we do, we depend on Allah Almighty. Nobody can stop a dying person if his time comes. Or if a person dies, will you able to put a soul in his body to come back on this earth? We don't have that power. Do we know how a child is created? We only know that a child is created, but we don't know. We know that we cannot create it. If we are able to create it, there are some people who are unable to have children. They will have created their own children, who will have remained deprived of child if we are able to create. So therefore, we are all depending on Allah Almighty, and He depends on nothing. So for that being the case, He is able to create the universe on His own. For the fact that He is self-sustaining, self-subsisting, and then self-sufficient. He says, He has no son nor daughter. He does not need any. He is Allah, the one without no equal or partner. He lives today as He lives in the past and will continue to live hereafter. He speaks to people as he spoke in the past. He listens to the supplication of the supplicants and responds accordingly to whomsoever he pleases, just as he did in the past. This is Allah Almighty. So that's why he created the universe on his own without any help. I hope it is clear, right? So thank you very much for participation. Dear viewers, this is what time allowed us. We come to the end of another episode. We talk about a very important question. Some people might ask you, how did Allah able to create the earth or the universe? Because the universe is so big. For instance, especially with children who are not that much able to differentiate many things, they may question this, and this might bother them. But then the answer is that Allah is self-sufficient, self-sustaining, and self-subsisting. So as a result of that, he don't need our help. He can do things on his own. Until we come on your way here in MTA International Gambia Studio on the same series, Our God, Our Allah, on MTA Kids Time. I was your host, Syed Sambaso. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.